Good morning out there to everyone. This show, I think I saw my thumbnail. I think I put the wrong number on something. It said 15, but I think it's, I don't know if that's right. I think last week's show was 15. But welcome everybody. Everybody, welcome Mom. She said she'd be watching this morning. That's become pretty usual. But let's see. Closet Branch said he can't be here today. He was the first one in. I left milk and cookies on the mantle for him. Hi, John Knopfel, Pete Motley, my neighbor from just over the ridge. GRA 2057, welcome. Willow Creek Industrial Spur, welcome. Brad, good morning to you at 6 o'clock in the morning. Hot dog, Andy. Hot dog, Pilot Andy. Good morning. I'm still waking up. Dwight. Dwight's here. Yeah, so let's see. We got a fairly good house. And Brother Dan. So that's my first announcement. December 10th, I believe. Dan became a grandfather for the first time. So, welcome, Dan. He's grandfather. That makes me a great uncle for the first time. And then, yeah. So, brand new healthy boy to my brother's daughter and his son-in-law out in Montana. Second bit of news is a little bit somber, sad for me. Wondering why I'm wearing this shirt today. It's Paddy Coins. It's an Irish pub that was up in Bellevue, Seattle. But it's where I met my good friend Steve Park. We both worked at Microsoft together. And on December 10th, he passed away at the young age of 51. So, drink up to you, Steve. Another one lost. But I guess we balanced it. My brother Dan's grandson came back to us. So one soul up, one soul is here. So that's the way of the world, isn't it? Yeah, so let's get on from that. I did want to take a moment and share that. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I'm not as prepared for this show. I'm usually not that prepared anyways, but I'm less prepared than I usually am. Rocky, yeah, you really suck at getting prepared. You need to work on that. Okay, enough fake voices. So let's get on with the heart of the show. Boy, you're old, Dan. And however old Dan is, I'm 2.5 years older than that, which makes me older. But still younger than some of you on the show. And I forgot, John 2 snuck in here. Thanks, John from Schuylkill River Valley. I always get that wrong. I like that. The name of that. But one of the reasons that you might not know, the name of this, of John's railroad, or his channel, might be both. actually was featured in a game from the 80s, a board game called 1830. As when I'm a game collector, a railroad game collector. Maybe sometime, maybe one of the shows will go through some of the games that I have, but might bore everybody to death. Yeah, so it had that as a minor railroad that you could purchase. So just odd bit of trivia just popped into my head. Let's see. Dan says, "Thank you, everyone. I could be more proud." Yes, we are very proud for you. Jerry, how about them Orbit Ducks, JJ? Can they go all the way? Well, we shall see. And as I love to say, against all the pundits and everybody, the true success is just measured on the field of battle. So you win the game and you go on. You lose now and you're done. Your season is done. So we won't find out for another 2.5 weeks here because we don't even know who they're going to play yet. They're going to play Ohio State or Tennessee. But it's been an exciting season. It's also been one that has caused my dog to run and hide as I am cursing at the TV. Yep. Oh, F no. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Enough of that. Let's see what Andy says. Not sure if I wear my age like a medal or a badge. Both, maybe. I don't know. Andy, you're great. You're just fine. Yeah. Actually, let me take a small detour here and I will show you that original game. So there was a fellow whose name was Francis Tresham, and he's an Englishman, I believe. And this other company in the U.S., down in Maryland, actually, called Avalon Hill, for the longest time made these bookcase games. But 1830 was a game of it's called the Game of Railroads and Robber Barons, and so it's kind of a neat game. You lay tiles. Down. You lay tiles on these things out on the East Coast, building the first railroads in the U.S. and doing the things that railroads did: sell stock, make fortunes, make people go bankrupt, things like that. Kind of a cool game. Let's see, where am I at? I wear my age like a limp. He's one for stand up. Okay. Dwight, okay, I didn't hear what you said about Dan. Ah, Dwight. Dan is a grandfather for the first time. I know you already are several times, Dwight, but you're, I don't know, a few years older than Dan. Not that much. A few years. So we were celebrating that. But let's see, Pete. Sounds like me watching the game. Yeah. Yeah, it has been an interesting season to say the least. An interesting thing, last night, the Idaho Vandals were the first game of the season for us. We barely beat them. They are a division football below us. We didn't barely beat them, but we didn't beat them by what we should have for a team that was expected to be beating everybody. But Idaho handled them well, had handled us well, and I forget what the score was, but they played in the playoffs for that lower level division against Montana State. Montana State just absolutely crushed them. Montana State has had a storied history of football, and my alma mater, Northern Arizona University, used to lose to them on a frequent basis because we were in the Big Sky Conference together. And now another's to put more. Everybody wants to hear about this football trivia, but anyways, we're playing Montana State the first game of next season. So let's see. Let's get off of football. And everybody is catching up. Jerry, 25. I played 1830 with my grandpa and grandma when I was little. Cool. Yeah, it's a fun game. It's more fun than it is. It can be a little bit adversarial, but not that much. It's not. We used to call these war games, but they're board games. Let's see. Whoa, look at that. We got a new fellow here. El Paso, Texas rail fanner. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us here on this crazy Saturday, December 14th, where we haven't even got to the meat of the show, and it's already 12 minutes in. Okay. Yep. Cool. Correct. Congrats on the grandkid. Oh, yep. Welcome, JP. Welcome. And that's, I think I'm caught up. Am I caught up on the chat? No. Everybody keeps going faster than I can go. Hi, JJ. Hi, JP. Yes, that is something I wanted to bring up. Yes. So I was surprised, but then I remembered what you said was Willow Creek Industrial Spur. His brother has got a channel, and he's starting to build a new layout. He moved to a new house. So this is Brad's brother. And he doesn't live in New Zealand. He lives in Australia. So across the ocean from him. Yeah, so he's starting to build a new layout. It looks like he's ditched N scale. I'm sad. But he's moving to, it looks like it'll be HO. At least that's what it looks like. I didn't listen to all of his show, but Brad, maybe you can let us know any other details you might know that we don't know. Dwight says, I have 3 grandkids, but they're all adults now, and I haven't seen the 2 youngest for 10 years, and they don't have anything to do with me. And my own grandson lives 7 miles from me, and we know he likes to collect dogs and then let you watch them, Dwight. But, yeah, dogs and what? He's got ferrets and dragons and all kinds of stuff in his house. Would be nice to have a Raptor 3 behind your left ear, JJ. So it's not a Raptor 3. What is that? So actually that is a space shuttle. And my left ear is not a Raptor 3. Yeah, so behind me is all some of my Lego collection. If we move over a little bit, you will see. And I take your thing off and I move myself. And I point my finger in the right direction. Oh, why is it so hard? Yeah, that's a space shuttle. Space shuttle. There's a lot of distractions in this room, but the one that isn't in his room is my dog, and yeah. Uh, New Zealand Railway. So I guess is his brother's going to do New Zealand Railways? Is that right? Okay. He doesn't have the dog anymore. The landlord found out, but he still has his 4 snakes. Ooh, snakes belong outside. I like, and they definitely belong outside in Australia, and not in your house because there's nasty ones down there. But New Zealand, I don't know. Does New Zealand have snakes? Hope not. Sorry, I'm off the track. Well, that's all what the show is about, right? Off the rails, off the track. Yes, all the Lego. I will do a show someday about Lego. Maybe even we'll build a Lego. In fact, I have a couple Lego in my closet there that I have not built yet. That maybe we could do a unboxing and build. Probably boring, but I could still chat while we're doing that. I know other people. There's a guy on YouTube that I watch, Scott Manley. He does mostly space stuff, but he's built even this, jeez, this space shuttle he built live. We have no snakes, nothing, not even bad spiders. Wow, that's so much preferable to Australia. Australia, all I hear about is nasty spiders, ants, and snakes, and blue box, jellyfish, and things that killed that guy. Oh yeah. I missed your Raptor 3 is Musk's new engine without much plumbing. So I do have the SLS right here as a model of the SLS on the launcher. That's not the Apollo, it's the SLS that's right there. Let's see if I do this right. Right here. There we go. I'm just getting distracted by all this stuff. Yeah, so that's the space launch system that, and the Raptor, of course, like Andy said, is Raptor 3 is that new engine. And then I do have above the space shuttle, I've got the Saturn V laying down as it would be at the space at a couple of space places, like at down in Florida and down in Texas. So yeah, okay. What is a collaboration? So great question. Thanks for getting me back on track, JP. Collaboration. So years ago, my friend Andy Henly in England, in the Midlands, I think he's near Nottingham, um, did a collaboration with Roy Smith on sending a train from Andy's layout to Roy Smith's layout. And recently, so over the summer, Andy and I discussed doing something similar. So even though I didn't get any B-roll shot this week, what I intended to announce was that yes, I'm going to send a train from my layout to Andy's layout, and it's going to be a train, a UP Union Pacific train. It has 2 locomotives pulling it, the 9041 and the Rio Grande delivery 1989 will be pulling it, heading it up. And then it's going to be a manifest freight. It's going to have a bunch of boxcars on it. So we're going to send that from my layout, and then it'll arrive in Andy's Montrose and Highlands a little later. And then he'll film a similar train on his layout. We happen to have those same two engines, so they will arrive without have changed motor power or between the two places. Back in the day, Roy Smith did this with Andy with an ethanol train. And I intend to actually recreate that ethanol train is going to show up on my layout in some form. So, yeah, about 100 miles up the road from Andy. That makes sense. The other Andy said that it's about 130 miles down to London from where he is. Yeah, so we aren't shipping. Wait, no, I'm not going to ship this around. This is going to be a virtual thing. The other part that actually came coincidentally in the last couple weeks was the Closet Branch started his virtual rail car exchange, where he's just announced, hey, we're going to send a virtual exchange from your layout to another person's layout, and he's got a bunch of rules, not a bunch, about 3 or 4 rules that you follow. Doesn't matter what the era is. Between the two layouts, you generally have the same, you just need to have the same types of cars. But that got me thinking. And that's where that idea about the website that I announced last week, where that came from. So let me get some stuff here set up and go over to that website. There's nothing there yet, but let me go and change the camera. Yeah, so this website, there's nothing to this. This is just a landing spot for people while I figure out how to put together the functionality to make this. So why is it called a waybills? Well, a waybill is that little piece, that card that the railroads use. Well, actually, it's not a card anymore. It's probably an entry in a database in some electronic form somewhere. But basically, it informs the railroad that a car you're sending from one place to another, and what it's going, what its contents are, who's shipping it, and such and so forth. It's not a car card. That's another thing. A car card describes the car itself. There may also be locomotive cards. So another company which you may be familiar with called Micromark. They actually have a card system. That was something else. But then I got to looking around, and I don't know if we can see this very clearly, but I wanted to know, hey, what did all these on a card? Sometimes this is car type, and BNSF has got this on their website. It tells you all these abbreviations or letters for cards. So if you watched the Closet Branch's show, he had a paper car card, and on there it actually had a manifest of the train. One of the lines was a gondola car, which had a car of scrap load, and it was J. I was like, what is that J? It's not for JJ. So anyways, I'm gonna implement that on this website so that people can actually tag people and say, hey, I've got these couple of cars of loads I want to send from my layout to Andy's layout, or my layout to Dwight's layout. So then along with that, what I'm also going to have is a place where I don't think I've got that up and running anymore. No, because I replaced this. Yeah. So that you can facilitate moving cars there without a lot of fuss. And then you'll have another place where you can include and say, here's the YouTube video that shows me sending this to you. So that's the idea. And that's how collaboration ties into this. This and on the MRH is a model railroad. What is that? Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. Well, they were describing cars and waybills. And then another guy went so far as to put an Excel spreadsheet, which I think I've got here, where he actually makes an Excel spreadsheet where you fill out a card. He's using a different, now I think there's other numbering schemes. These types here, if you can see those letters, which you probably can't. This says GB, but it stands for gondola. I think that I found another reference for letters to be used on waybills, and it was from the Pennsylvania Railroad, and I think these are from the Pennsylvania Railroad. Anyways, there's multiple systems. Railroads probably have multiple, but what you type these things in, and then they show up as cards over here. He doesn't in fact have all the logos, but then he took time to put this guy, I forget what his name is. Let me see if I got the reference to that. Yeah, so this guy, Algoma Central and HO scale. He did this about 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago. He actually showed how to do all this stuff in HO. It's kind of an interesting thing. So that's what all that is all about. Transition back to the main camera and get myself so I can get back over to StreamYard. Yeah, so I mean that's mostly what this show is about. The waybill page, yep. Someone could have a car show up on staging on my layout with destination. Yep. I could show it moves to the yard and get added to a train in local deliveries. Exactly. That's what it's all about. So I thought that we could actually even go further. We could actually go to the point where we are making a little bit of a game out of it, where we have artificial industries that are off site, off layout, that could feed your layout. And then you could go and take those waybills and fulfill them. For example, say the part that happens right before the waybill is formed. Before the waybill, there's actually a shipper is looking for, hey, I need this fulfilled. How is it going to get from my industry to my customer's location? So we could do that where even not even having to describe cars coming from other people's layouts, but they could be artificial industries, or even like the port of Tacoma, if you've got intermodal traffic that you want to run through. Let's see. Take down the banner. Yeah, I was too late for that. I left it up for too long. Let's see. Yeah. So JP says I could do a video or pictorial of the car moves. Exactly. Well, you could do anything you want to. But my idea was that you would fulfill that delivery, that virtual delivery to your layout by you filming the receiving. So, and we could do it other ways. What I also imagine is this: that we will have a kind of a map where people put where their railroads are, and then we'll virtually connect them. I imagine that if your railroad runs to a port in your country, that will be like an instantaneous portal transfer to another continent or another island. Um, in the case of New Zealand and UK, and then those would just show up magically somehow, much like Roy Smith's. Roy Smith's layout, even though he lived in Panama, uh, it was in Wyoming area, Wyoming, Utah, uh, and Andy Henley's layout, even though he lives in the UK, it's in the East Coast of the US. So there was no magical portal that was necessary there. But imagine if people are going, great, send me a flat car full of gold from your mine. I think Dwight's going to say you're just going to get a flat car of lumps of coal, Andy. I'm limited, but I'm in. I mean, JP, you see my layout. I just got staging and a roundhouse and a helix. So I really don't have any industries up yet where I could actually switch something to. I can say, hey, you made it to my staging yard. But I've got a place I can run trains. I can fake some stuff, but yeah. Uh, I mean, it is whatever people wanted to make it be. And people are in all sets of things from not having any layout. Like there was a guy who used to post all the time about one of these train railroad simulators where he would show stuff. And geez, if you could deliver your freight in the railroad simulator and just post that. Anyhow, it'll be whatever it makes it to be. The whole thing is another tool to bring the community closer together. So, in to sum it up, that's how it relates to collaborations, um, and it ties all these things kind of together. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. My brother says I have 3 tracks on a shelf. All right. I want to see this video. I'm requesting Dwight virtually send lumps of coal on a gondola or a flat car to Andy. That's my challenge to Dwight and Andy. And Andy needs to receive it on his side. Yeah. 1 track is your interchange with the rest of the layouts. Ben is still even further less along a building layout than me. He has other projects he's taking care of. But I think his intention are that he will have a O gauge track in his garage that was going to run around his garage. But I don't recall if it's going to be in his garage or not. He's still doing the Tyson method of remodeling homes that you live in. Actually, seems more like redoing the home. Yeah. dog bone in the family room. Yeah, and I also agree the garage sometimes can be too dirty. Although many people do have them in their garage. I used to have one in my garage. I'm happy at the moment that I don't have one in my garage because that's where massive amounts of dust collect. Yep. And another guy who's down near JP, you might know him, Steve Brown, who's now infrequently posting versus what he used to do. His railroad is in the garage as well, and he was just talking about dustiness. Yes, I am, Brad. Let's see. Let's see. I enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed my puddle making series. And Dwight says, "Yes, I am, Brad. Good." Dust disgust. Yeah. I noticed while looking at some of my cars, the dust accumulated. But I noticed even more the dust that was on the cars that I took a picture of my dad's that I didn't brush off before I took the photos of it. There was a lot of dust on there, even though they were in boxes for years and years and years. So anyhow, that's what this show was about. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to doing B-roll that I wanted to include in the show, but there will be a forthcoming video. I hope this week. It'll have to be shot tomorrow because work has been getting crazy, and next week is the last week before I take 2 weeks off. Um, winter storm warning. That means that weather will be moving towards Ohio after that. My old layout was on 2 walls in the garage, but I used a museum type method to reduce the dust. The fascia and valance were connected, and the layout had its own ceiling. It worked great. Yeah, in fact, who is it? John Pop has a layout in his basement where he, as they interviewed him, and he did the same thing. Um, it's a it's a it's not a loop or anything. It's a switching layout, and it looks really good. Of course, anything John Pop does looks really good. Yeah, same thing you were talking about, JP. So, where are we at? Next week, what's next week? Next week, I'm going to talk about, and I hope that I will shoot the B-roll before, uh, what am I? I'm looking, not looking at the camera. I should look at the camera. Move the video over here. I hope I've got the B-roll shot before I start. And I think that's what my project has to be tomorrow. But where did that ethanol train go from Andy's layout to Roy Smith's layout is going to show up in my layout years later. It got stopped in some Twilight Zone uh, interruption for the years between. And also, I guess it'll be it's going to be my little Christmas show. So I've got a couple of Christmas themed things, which I also have B-roll that I need to shoot because I also need to answer Dwight Curley's. Go and see who hasn't seen Dwight's Christmas challenge. Have you shot video for Dwight's Christmas challenge? You should do that. I should do that. There's been a few entries. They look pretty good. But yeah, in fact, I don't know how I'm going to match Dwight's got snow on his layout. He's got little people running around. Don't you have the Grinch on your layout too, Dwight? But I know what you don't have. You don't have Rocky on your layout. I picked up a couple of things at the train store last weekend that will be part of that train. And then I have another setup that I'm going to do. I'm going to go get some smaller circle track that I'm going to have a DC, something I picked up last week, will run circles around my little Lego um, display that I'll have to move out of the alcove I've got downstairs. Anyways, next week it's a Christmas kind of themed show. Maybe I'll even have a Santa hat. I'm not going to have a Santa beard. I shaved last night. Dan could do the Santa beard. Dan's also got we both share the lack of hair. That's why I wear a hat. I think this is why Dwight. This is why Roy Smith wore a hat as well, but maybe it was just branding. Great Northern. And some of us need to keep our hats on. Yes, indeed. I wear a hat at work all the time. I have a NASA hat that I wear. In fact, I go to the hobby store with my NASA hat on, and one of the guys there calls me the NASA guy. Actually, my dad did do some work at NASA for a bit. One of his dreams. Well, his dream was actually to get into space, but only not many people get to do that. Am I going to the hobby shop today? Why, yes, Pete, I am going to the hobby shop. I'm going to go there and be there around 11:30. If you're there, I will meet and greet you. Hey, look at who we got. Did I get here in time this week? You did, Andy. Welcome. And we were discussing once you rewatch the show, we discussed. So Andy, this is the Andy that 100 miles north of the other Andy, hot dog pilot Andy. You guys live within 100 miles of each other. But yeah, this is my buddy Andy, who he's got a great show himself, or a series of shows. He doesn't do live ones. He does videos and then posts them up, and he's close to 100 episodes, I think. And he started another one of a second layout that he has in his railroad shed. Let's see, JP says hi. Yeah, I guess Andy, you need to be called Andy too. To disambiguate you. Just like we've got JP, John Paulson, me, John Tyson. We've also got lots of Johns that show up from time to time. So Andy says, just got in from work, and it makes sense. Makes a change. I managed to say hello. Okay. Hi, Andy. We were just about ready to close the show down, but I'm rambling on as usual. People have called me a lot worse than Andy too. I know about that. At least I haven't heard them call me that. I haven't been called Andy too myself. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're about time to wrap this all up. And thanks for everybody for watching. Push that button, like and subscribe. I'll leave the channel running for a bit so I can put those end caps on. And then Rocky says, yeah, I don't know what Rocky says. Yeah. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll catch you all on the other shows, or you'll see me back here, same time, same place, Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific. And to figure out what that is for all the rest of y'all, where you can put the notify me. And that's what we got going. And what do I say? I'll be back. Okay. So, bye, y'all. See you on the next one. And how do we end this?